Friday Night Heights on SEC Network welcomes you to Rupp Arena, a site where Kentucky went unbeaten for the first time since 1984 last season. Their first home meet of 2024 hosts a young, up-and-coming Georgia squad hoping to make some noise in Lexington. Welcome into Friday Night Heights, Jason Ross Jr., Sam Petchik. Sam, we got a fun one today. Two up-and-coming young groups and two teams that have seen their scores improve each week of the season.
Yeah, a lot of people were nervous coming into this season watching these teams utilize such a young and youthful freshman, sophomore class in so many of their lineups. But as you can see from the scores, both teams have improved week to week.
Let's start with the Georgia side of the equation here. They have dealt with several hurdles so far, a few gymnasts out for the season. Amanda Cashman, we learned an illness this week, so she didn't travel with the team. Excellent gymnast. Now, talk about their young gymnast. Lily Smith has really stood out so far this season.
Yeah, she's the first UGA freshman to score a 10 since 2001. And I'm willing to bet it's the first of many for her career. I mean, look how beautiful she swings this bar routine. Nice lines, her handstands are completely vertical, bam. Love to see her swing, and of course, when you stick a dismount like that, it's money.
Then flip it over to Kentucky, Sam. Delaney Rodriguez does something a freshman doesn't typically do. She leads off every rotation.
Yeah, head coach Tim Garrison said it's her consistent personality and demeanor that stands out. She's calm, she's patient, and the moment is never too big for her, which is exactly what you want for your leadoff athlete. And get this, she's stuck every single event the last two meets, which is unheard of. But we can't forget about Kentucky's fifth-year senior, Raina Worley. She's the AAI and Honda Award finalist, and coaches say she's even sharper this year. She scored a 9.975 on 3 events, but has yet to score a perfect 10. She's been knocking on the door. Will tonight be the night? Maybe the first home meet in Rupp will be the magic for the perfect 10 she needs.
They're hoping it's going to be a magical night here at Rupp, where they're honoring the 50th team in Kentucky history. Something we want to drive home. Don't forget, you have 6 gymnasts per team competing in each event. The 5 best scores count will drop the lowest one. At the end of the 4 rotations, the team with the highest cumulative score will win. You see here our format in the dual meets. So Kentucky, the home team, will go on vault first. Georgia will be on the bars. Georgia lost their meet against Mizzou last weekend, heading out on the road today. And Kentucky, again, went unbeaten at Rupp a season ago. This is their first home meet of the year. They were super pumped up for it. Lost the meet last week against LSU. Won the prior week against Auburn. Mentioned Delaney Rodriguez leads off each event for them, so get used to hearing her name to start off.
Yurchenko full to start things off. This is a common vault. You're going to see a lot in the competition. Didn't quite get the stick. But let's take another look. Good block off the table, and it looked like she was going too much for that stick. Didn't quite get the chest up on the landing, but a clean, controlled landing and a nice start for Kentucky.
On the Georgia side, Sydney Fitzgerald, Sam, we mentioned Cashman being out. She's typically in the leadoff spot in the bars rotation for Georgia, but now Sydney Fitzgerald steps in.
Yeah, she has a really unique combination coming up right here to Kochib, right into a bail. That is so rare. She doesn't have to go to handstand because she gets the bonus for the bail at horizontal, finishes up so strong, double layout dismount, and a nice start for Georgia.
That's that transition you were looking for. Here it is.
Yeah, usually after a Takacha release move, you go to something easy like a kip cast handstand, but not Sydney. She goes directly into a bail to horizontal to get her bonus.
They gave Delaney Rodriguez a 9.725 leading off the vault for Kentucky. Now here comes Cecily Rizzo, the freshman. Talk about how many young gymnasts are on both of these two sides.
Doing a Yurchenko 1.5 for the first time in her career. Oh, changed their mind, Yurchenko full. Head coach Tim Garrison said that she has been working on the 1.5. She did it in training in Rupp. So they must have made a last-minute change, took the safe route. Little strategy there for a Yurchenko full. You see how high she gets off the table. Definitely has the potential to add one more half twist there.
Yeah, he told us she's very capable of that, Yurchenko 1.5. You mentioned the training throughout the week, but little adjustment there. And here's Addie Wall, who has 80 to 100 family and friends in the stands today here at Rupp. She's from Zanesville, Ohio. So this was the closest meet that her family could get to this season, and she's brought a ton of family and friends. There's the Addie Wall section here at Rupp.
That's amazing. It's always so great to compete with your family and friends. There's something homey about it, them cheering you on, but sometimes it can add a little bit more pressure. So we'll see how Addie takes all of these fans cheering her on. Love to see them coming to support. Head coach Courtney Kupets-Carter said she's really ready to have her breakout moment, competing all around as a freshman. But a focus for her across the board is form and consistency. Really nice start to the bar routine. I'd like to see her finish in that handstand position for the pirouettes. But she's a gamer, and they said that every time she competes, she's usually on, and tonight is no different for that solid hit routine for Georgia. Finishes nice handstand position. You want to be within the 10 degrees of vertical to get no deductions there. It's half a tenth deduction if you are outside that range.
Addie Wall is one of a couple of Georgia gymnasts competing in the all-around. That's Ariana Patterson.
Yeah, the first of the front pike half vault. It's different than the Yurchenko because you're going to see the entry of the vault. She's going forward to hit the table versus the Yurchenko. You're going to a back handspring onto the table. Almost had that stuck position right there. Just needed to be a little bit more patient on the mat.
Now Holly Schneider up next, making her debut. Again, a few gymnasts out for Georgia. Some last-minute changes. And Holly Schneider making her collegiate debut.
Yeah, she hasn't exhibitioned yet either, but coaches say she is so clean. Listens to everything you're saying, extremely coachable. They've been waiting for her to get in this lineup. Looks like she's rushing her rhythm just a bit. Sometimes that happens when you're nervous or there's a lot of adrenaline. But able to stick the landing. Great job for Holly.
Yes, Sam, that's been an emphasis for Courtney Kupets-Carter and Georgia. They really want to work on those landings. Spent a lot of time on that in the gym throughout the week. And you see it pay off there with Schneider's debut. It's now Isabella Magnelli, the senior on a relatively young Kentucky team.
Another front pike half. Great landing. I didn't quite see if it was a perfect stick from that angle, but last week she got a 9.85, which was a new season high for her. Of course, her career high is 9.95, and this one is going to be a really good score. This front pike half starts from a 10.0, a little knee bend right before she landed, but could not ask for anything better in that landing position.
We'll see what they end up giving her. The last two Kentucky scores 9.8 or higher on the vault. Delaney Rodriguez led off with a 9.7. And then on the Georgia side, Katie Finnegan up now. First two scores for Georgia that are in from Sydney Fitzgerald and Addie Wall, both 9.750s. Haven't gotten Holly Schneider scored yet.
She's one of their best bar workers, and last weekend she fell on her release move in the touch and then over-corrected in the meet and pulled in close. So they're wanting her to just do normal. Right here, where she had problems, caught close again. So it saved herself from a fall, but definitely a deduction catching too close to the bar. finishing tuck full in. Beautiful dismount to finish that routine. I think they're starting a little contagious sticks over there on that bar's rotations. Exactly what they're working. Look how close she caught to the bar. Oftentimes this happens when you either have a mistake in warm-up or you really want to catch the bar, and she definitely got it.
Now Sam, Raina Worley.
Her gymnastics is just so easy for her. Yurchenko 1.5, like it's nothing. Look at the position in the air, nice stretched hips. She spots the ground. I actually watched this in slow motion before the meet, and it looked identical to the one we just saw. Great technique. It's just about squeezing and controlling the landing to lock in that stick.
Again, Worley competes in the all-around. She's come so close to 10s. We wonder if tonight is the night. Now Jeffrey Scott, they call her free. Coming up on the bars for Georgia. They gave Isabella Magnelli on the vault for Kentucky at 9.925, by the way. That was the highest score for Kentucky so far.
Now you're not going to want to blink during this routine because she has so many difficult skills. Coaches say she's really consistent in practice, but her releases are huge. And connects these skills right off the bat. That's called array to an immediate path salto. Combination high to low. Gorgeous swing. Wow, great save on that handstand. And usually when you save a handstand like that, it throws your rhythm off and looks like, unfortunately, wasn't able to get this duck landing at the end of that routine. This is called a Van Leeuwen low to high bar with a half twist. Oh!
And Mackenzie Wilson is who you just saw go up there on the vault for Kentucky to round out that first rotation for them.
Check this out, huge, and drills it into the ground. Does not move her feet at all. Beautifully done. I mean, her career high is at 9.975. This score is going to be high.
That was explosive. The lowest score for Kentucky was 9.725. Definitely will drop that, and they do give her a 10, Sam. And Mackenzie Wilson. We thought there might be a 10 today. There it is.
How exciting. First time for Kentucky competing at home in Rupp. Good omen for the rest of this competition for them. The scores have been building, exactly what head coach Tim Garrison has been working with his team on. The beginning to the lineup all the way to the end, building that depth. It's great to see it showing up in the competition.
Well, what a start for Kentucky in the first rotation, and now back to the bars for Georgia. Lily Smith had a 10 on bars last week, anchoring this first rotation for Georgia.
And this is looking so good. I love how she holds the handstand, really showing the judges that she hit that perfect position and didn't get the stick. Sometimes we talk about this a lot, that if you're trying too hard for that stick position, it can cause other mistakes.
Courtney Kupitz-Carter said that she doesn't want Lily to have that 10 in her mind in terms of what you want to try to do each week, but wants to keep that level of celebrating the highs up. So we'll see her again. Courtney Kupitz-Carter, mentioned her. We'll talk about her on the other side of the break. Kentucky up 49.550 after the 10 that we saw from Mackenzie Wilson on the vault. And Georgia at 48.975 after that first rotation. There's Georgia head coach Courtney Kupitz-Carter, a storied, decorated gymnast herself. From 2006 to 2009, she competed for Georgia, won 14 national championships, 9 individual NCAA titles, and a 15-time All-American as well.
Yeah, one of the most decorated NCAA gymnasts in history, and she's the first NCAA gymnast to ever win the all-around in every individual event. Extremely difficult to do, but she never got a perfect 10 her freshman year. So Lily has already surpassed her by scoring a perfect 10 in her freshman year. I always love to look at these old videos of Coupette. She was one of my idols when I was looking at colleges. She was incredible, such a fierce competitor. And I asked her, what did you think about when you scored 10s? And she said, you know, I didn't celebrate the wins enough. So they were never that big of a deal to me, and I didn't have to come down from them. So I really want Lily to enjoy them, but I also want her to not put so much pressure on herself to have to repeat that expectation week after week.
Sam, Courtney was so great under pressure as a gymnast during her day.
She was incredible. I mean, definitely, again, my idol and someone that whenever she saluted, you know it was game time.
Now this second rotation getting started up. So we'll have Georgia on the vault and Kentucky on the bars when we come back here on Friday Night Heights. Heights, Lexington, Kentucky, the site. Kentucky up after the first rotation in this meet. Got a 10 from Mackenzie Wilson in that first rotation on the vault for Kentucky, anchored that rotation and capped it off with quite the statement. Sam, it was your first time calling a 10 this season. Hopefully more to come.
Yeah, really exciting for me as a broadcaster right now, but I think Kentucky's more excited because they just got the second best vault score in the country behind Oklahoma, and it's a school record. 49.55 is huge.
You said earlier today there were maybe some 10s in the air, the magic air here in Lexington, Kentucky. Meanwhile, on the vault leading off for Georgia, Ashlyn LeClaire, who spent her last 4 years at Kentucky. She's back at Rupp, so a bit of a nostalgic night for her.
Yeah, nice homecoming for her and Molly Korth, who also was a standout at Kentucky for alumni night.
Molly Korth now an assistant coach on the Georgia staff after they added on that fourth coach to the staff this year for teams. And Delaney Rodriguez mentioned she leads off every rotation for Kentucky, and she does that again here on the bars.
Yeah, this routine was crucial for the team last meet. She was able to stick it, and the sticks became contagious. They stuck 5 of 6 routines last week. Head coach Tim Garrison wants to see that again. So this routine is important. It's looking really good so far. You see her legs glued together on all of her skills. That's one of the things the judges look out for in addition to those vertical handstand positions. Judging by the way, I know Tim Garrison was blocking our view, but judging by the way that he was celebrating, I think she locked in the stick position. She scored a 9.9 last weekend, which was a career high, and Tim said he doesn't think he's ever had a leadoff score 9.9 on bars since he's been there. Really elevating the program and their depth from beginning to end. This was a beautiful start for Kentucky gymnastics.
Yeah, Sam, the sticks in the front half of the rotation for Kentucky has been a plus so far this season. Mentioned with both of these teams, scores have improved each week as a team. Here comes Lily Smith again, making her season debut on vault.
Stepping in for Amanda Cashman, who did not travel due to illness. She normally competes on 3 events, so it's a great opportunity for freshmen like Lily to step up and to get their shot on events they wouldn't otherwise be thrown into. Wow, I think after this Yurchenko pull, she might be a mainstay in this vault rotation. She almost floated down to the landing mat. Yurchenko layout full. I'm stunned that it was so beautiful and that she hasn't been in the lineup yet this season. What a bright spot for head coach Courtney Kupets-Carter.
A lot of potential with the freshman on Georgia. That was your reigning SEC Freshman of the Week right there. Now here's Annie Reichert for Kentucky on the bars.
Really big release move. caught it a little fingertips there, hoping to regain that rhythm. Looks like she's done that nicely. Let's see if they can go 2 for 2. Hard to tell with this angle, but it looks like they did. Of course, sticks are really important across the board. You don't want to focus too much on them. Tim Garrison said he doesn't like to talk about how many sticks they got, but they do so many drills in the gym, so it's definitely a focus point.
Don't forget, coming up next, we'll take you to Columbia for number 9 Missouri, hosting number 3 LSU. Kentucky faced LSU just a week ago on the road. That was a really tough atmosphere. Jeffrey Scott on the vault for Georgia.
Yeah, this is an interesting story. She actually was training a completely different vault all of preseason, took a break from doing the Yurchenko, which means the round off onto the board, back handspring onto the table. 2 weeks ago, after they were short some vaulters, they asked her if she could go back to the Yurchenko, and she picked it up no problem. So that's why it looks dynamic and powerful in the air, but you can see she still is figuring out some landing issues at the end.
They gave Lily Smith a 9.80 on the last vault for Georgia. Ashlyn Leclerc had a 9.775. Annie Reigert's last time up on bars was scored a 9.850 for Kentucky, and now here's Cecily Rizzo coming up on the bars.
We talk about how well they did on bars last week, but this is an athlete that has an opportunity to improve. Her bail, which is right here, high to low, was rushed. It looked a little rushed that time too. Head coach Tim Garrison asked her what happened, and she said, I was nervous. So she's a freshman. They still get nervous. So it's figuring out how to salute, how to control your breathing, and really just repeat what you do in practice.
And the freshmen for Tim Garrison all making their debuts here at Rupp today in an atmosphere like this. A great one for Tim Garrison, his 13th season at Kentucky. Their all-time winningest coach, coming off an excellent season. Remember, we have 6 gymnasts per team competing in each event. We'll drop the lowest score. 5 best scores count, and the cumulative score after the 4 rotations wins it. It was Katie Finnegan on the vault for Georgia.
And that was such a solid vault for an athlete who is a senior and learned it this summer. They said she went home. This was her #1 goal, to upgrade the vault to a Yurchenko 1.5. And the way she drills that and knows exactly where she is in the air, veteran move, looks like she's been doing that for a while.
They love her execution on vaults. Still working on the landings. Looked really good there for the New York native. And now next up on bars for Kentucky, Jillian Brokaski. Austin, Texas native. Sam, I know this is someone that you know well. Was SEC all-freshman team a couple of seasons ago, now a junior.
Yeah, I really enjoyed following her career, and she's an athlete that coaches say holds herself to a high standard, not in a good way, but you're going to check out the details in this routine. Combination work to get this routine started. Pirouette, you see she held that position before coming down. Locks in that handstand. Double layout, no problems with the landing. I am so impressed by the way this Kentucky team is just able to really drill those dismounts to the ground. It's like they do that in the sleep.
Yeah, they had 3 freshmen in the bar lineup last week, but here's one with a bit more experience as a junior in Brokaski.
You can tell she's spotting the ground.
Now coming up on vault for Georgia, you have Addie Wall.
She's been a little bit nervous on vault, but she didn't look nervous there. Huge Yurchenko 1.5. perfect landing. I'm interested to see what the judges are going to do with this because regardless, it's going to be a huge score. Wow. Nice stretched hips in the air, opens her arms at the perfect time to find that landing. Maybe she just needed her family and friends there. Little extra support for those sticks.
She's got 80 to 100 of them coming from Zanesville, Ohio. Flip it over to Bailey Bunn and Kentucky here on the bars. Bailey Bunn, her career goal is to be an emergency room doctor, the senior from Greenville, North Carolina.
Definitely a leader on this team and an aggressive competitor. Looking for one more cast handstand. Nice job there. Finishes double layout. You can see she bends her knees at the end. And she's particularly excited because she's had an individual goal. She was missing too many cast handstands, so head coach Tim Garrison said she had to mark on the whiteboard every time she missed a cast handstand. He told us that she only missed 4 casts all week, which, to put it in perspective, I put it on my Instagram story for all the former athletes, former NCAA gymnasts to comment how many they missed. It's about almost 100 cast handstands you do in a week.
The people were chiming in, and again, she only missed 4. So now back to the vault for Georgia. Here you've got Jada Battle rounding out this second rotation. See what they give her here. They gave Addie Wall a 9.925 last time up, which was the highest score for Georgia so far on the vault.
Yeah, powerful Yurchenko, 1.5. Just working on finding the consistent and controlled landings. It's really going to increase their score as a team on vault.
They ended up giving Jillian Prokaski on bars for Kentucky a 9.90. That's the highest score on the bars for Kentucky. Bailey Bunn followed it up with 9.875. And now here's Raina Worley, the rock for this Kentucky team. We got to talk to her yesterday, and she told us, I love doing this, and it's just, the reason I do it is because I love it, and it's why she's so good at it. You see her always with a smile on her face.
Yeah, last week she scored a 9.975 on this routine, which means she got a perfect 10 from one judge. Nice handstand. Clean pat salto release move. That's the high to low skill you just saw. Just the dismount. Her teammates set her up nicely. Oh! She was trying so hard. I was looking at her toes, just gripping the floor, trying to hang on to that stick position. It's not going to be a perfect 10 for Raina tonight, but she can score a perfect 10 on the next 2 events, so it's not over for her.
Raina competing in the all-around as well, and she could very well take the lead in the all-around after that score when we do get it in, as she rounds off rotation number 2 for Kentucky, and the second rotation overall of this meet. Wait until we get that final score to come in to update our team cumulative scores through 2 rotations. We have an interview coming up with the Georgia head coach, Courtney Kupets-Carter. Sam, your impression of the first 2 rotations of this meet so far?
It's strong. Kentucky's doing exactly what I expected them to do, locking in their landings, and I'm impressed that we saw a 10 on the first event already, and it's a team that's continued to improve, and I've really enjoyed watching. They've put their head down, they've done the work, and Georgia is rebuilding. They have new faces in the lineup who are really stepping up, and I think that's exciting for the future of Georgia gymnastics.
A lot of potential, a lot of young freshmen getting experience today that's going to be so beneficial moving forward for them. See the overall scores now through 2 rotations. Kentucky at 98.875, Georgia at 98.100. And now we are joined by the Georgia head coach, Courtney Kupets-Carter. Coach, what do you make of your team's performance so far on the road through a couple of rotations?
You know, we started a little shaky on bars. It wasn't our normal bar routines. We looked like we were a little nervous going in, so that's something we can definitely improve on. But wow, Addie Wall on vault, Katie Finnegan on vault, those are two huge 1.5s that had absolutely fantastic landings, and they've been working so hard in the gym. That's a way to keep momentum going as we head into floor.
A lot of bright spots, Courtney, from what we saw from your team already, and a lot of lineup changes. So coming in, I know you were a little unsure of how these athletes would do since they're so young. What can we expect from your team on the next two events?
You know, you can see a lot of tenacity. They're going to fight, and they're going to make sure they give everything they've got, and they're going to focus in on their cues on these next two events, and they're going to have a good time while they're doing it.
Thank you, Courtney. Really appreciate your time. Third rotation coming up. We'll go to the intermission before here on SEC Network. You're watching Friday Night Heights. There's Molly Korth, assistant coach for Georgia, but she knows the Kentucky Blue well. A former standout gymnast at Kentucky joined the Georgia gymnastics staff originally as a volunteer assistant coach in September of 2022 and was promoted to assistant coach in 2023. And she is a storied gymnast here, 8-time All-American. And you look back at her days, her dad really played a key role in her development growing up, and this is a really neat video we found
for
Dad's Fleisner back in 2017.
For everything, really. Everything I do is really for him. I love to make him proud, and I love to get phone calls from him telling me how proud he is of me. I mean, we've done so many things together. We've gone on road trips together. We've camped together. We've done a lot of stuff. So just to be able to have him as a father, like best father in the world, is really amazing. Oh my God.
She was a phenomenal 8-time All-American at Kentucky, an AAI award finalist, which is equivalent to the Heisman Award in football. She was such an athlete, such a competitor. Every single time she stepped on the floor, it was electric.
Sam, how cool is that video of her dad surprising her too? That's awesome. And her dad, Kevin, is here today as well.
Yeah, I want to know what color he's wearing in the building. I'm guessing he's wearing Georgia colors now, but I'm sure it feels weird for him in Rupp Arena to not be wearing the Kentucky colors. We got to find that out.
Yeah, we also talked about Ashlyn LeClaire, who's returning today after she spent the last 4 years at Kentucky and now is on Georgia. Really neat stories around both sides today. Third rotation on the horizon here at Rupp. Delaney Rodriguez will lead off on the beam for Kentucky. Aaron Williams will be on the floor for Georgia when we return. So Kentucky ahead by .775 total after 2 rotations here at Rupp. Watching Friday Night Heights. Well, don't forget, Sunday afternoon we'll have a women's basketball triple-header, but we're featuring the middle game highlighted by the #1 team in the nation. South Carolina hosts Vandy at Colonial Life Arena in Columbia. That's at 3 Eastern, 2 Central, right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. South Carolina won a thriller last night against LSU, trying to follow that up after a big performance on the road, squeaking out a victory against a really good LSU team. That is Sunday on SEC Network. So now, again, rotation 3 about to start up. On beam, it'll be Delaney Rodriguez for Kentucky. Georgia will be on the floor with Aaron Williams leading off there. Here's a look at Delaney Rodriguez, the freshman from Las Vegas, really talented. Leading off every rotation.
Yeah, I know she's just a freshman, but man, I am a big Delaney fan. What a big role for her to lead off every event, and hopefully you just watched how she saluted. It is in line with everything the coaches have said about her. She's just so comfortable, very poised. She is unfazed in every single situation, which is a coach's dream, especially on this event right here.
Yeah, and Tim, to follow up on your point, said he feels calm around her. It feels like she's been around longer than a freshman.
Yeah, this is a special athlete that I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg for her. Even when she's a little off, you could see she bobbled just ever so slightly there. She does not react, which is a typical newcomer move to do. She is just phenomenal pulling it back on. Great job, Delaney.
Kentucky had another good start today. That was one key emphasis for Tim Garrison entering this season. As we get our first floor routine of the night, and it'll be Aaron Williams for Georgia.
Yeah, she's been working on so much consistent technique on all of her tumbling. They said, oh, sometimes if your music starts and you're not ready, you can just start over. There's no deduction. Her toe went over the line. That's a 1/10 deduction for out of bounds. Finishing double back. Great job getting her chest up on the landing there.
Aaron Williams.
Not the best routine we've ever seen her do. Here's that combination pass and doesn't get a good punch out of that first flip, but this is a highlight for me, that double back at the end. You can tell she has enough endurance and really just missed her punch on that combination pass in the middle.
They gave Delaney Rodriguez for Kentucky a 9.850 on the beam. Here's Kreslin Brose, who was partly discovered in the recruiting process by Tim Garrison's wife, Rachel Garrison, who noticed her in the gym during that time in her life.
Beautiful front tuck. I like how high she landed. Front toss, back handspring. Looks like she double bumped her arms. Usually your arms have to continue to move in the same direction in order to get credit for the connection. But another freshman in their lineup, early on in their lineup, and I really appreciate how performative she is on this event. Coaches say she's always on, and she, again, looks comfortable for being just a freshman.
Sam, we were told she's a big Taylor Swift fan. You're hearing the Taylor Swift in the background right now.
I'm laughing because Tim Garrison, head coach, told us that and said, you know, you can't be perfect at everything. So I guess he's not a Taylor Swift fan. Big highlight for me, huge front tuck. Finishes 1.5 dismount.
So now Sydney Fitzgerald on the floor for Georgia. We'll go up here next, sophomore from Evans, Georgia.
This first pass is new for her. She's going to be doing a Rudy layout step out. A Rudy is a 1.5 front twisting element into a back layout step out. Sydney was actually sick earlier in the week and told the coaches, when I'm tired, I do better because I don't overthink. So it might actually be a good thing for her. Check out that stuck landing. I'm sure her and her coaches are going to laugh about all of that. So funny how sometimes you can do your best gymnastics when you were maybe a little under the weather.
Yeah, when you don't have an opportunity to overthink, and that's what she told us. Now here's Bailey Bunn for Kentucky. And Sam, she had an incredible save last week that we were both just marveling at here.
This is one for the books. Check this out, triple series. She should have absolutely been off this beam. I think I've watched this video like 10 times because as a former gymnast, let me tell you how difficult that is. When you look at the ground, her body was completely falling forward. I don't know how she saved that. It's still a mystery to me.
Absolutely incredible. So amazing. I had a smile on her face the entire time as well. By the way, her favorite athlete is our colleague, Aly Raisman.
Yeah, and her coaches said that that's actually a bright spot for Kentucky, is to have an athlete with a huge mistake like that and fight till the end, not come off. That's the leadership she displays on this team. Those underclassmen see how bad she wants it and see how bad she's fighting, and that's the leadership and culture that trickles down.
Tim Garrison called her their floor general. Well, Saturday we have another college basketball. It's a quadruple header for you right here on SEC Network and the ESPN app. Tips off at 1 Eastern, noon Central. But these are the featured games here. You got 5th-ranked Tennessee taking on rival Vandy. In-state matchup there, 6 Eastern, 5 Central. Then it's Ole Miss squaring off against Texas A&M at Reed Arena in College Station. That's Saturday. Those should be 2 good matchups.
And definitely an athlete as seasoned as Bailey Bunn is excited for this routine right here to get a little redemption from last week. If I know her well enough, she's going to nail this triple series. Handspring, layout, layout. Knew it. I'm willing to bet she was thinking about that wobble all week in the back of her mind, hoping she would do exactly that. Switch leap, split jump, that's a requirement in this beam routine. Finishing round off double full. What a redemption routine for her. She is having a meet, first time in Rupp this season. Here's where the problems came last week, but no problems here. Handspring, layout, layout. You can almost see it in her eyes. I am not moving. Finishing round up double full to a good stuck landing. Exactly what head coach Tim Garrison is hoping for.
I love the point to Coach Garrison at the end of that, Sam.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, coming up on the floor, here's Ashlyn LeClaire for Georgia.
She has new passes like this one right here. A lot of twisting elements. Coaches say she's so good at adjusting even when she's slightly off. Little mic drop moment there, and well-deserved for all those combination passes are really difficult in her routine. I saw those little adjustments the coaches were talking about. Great work. Finishing 1.5 to a back layout step out.
They gave Sydney Fitzgerald a 9.800 on the floor for Georgia. Erin Williams 9.575 before that. Now here comes Ariana Patterson on the beam for Kentucky. Bailey Bunn just had a 9.90. Same as Delaney Rodriguez, who led off.
Opens with her series, back handspring layout. Oftentimes with powerful athletes like Ariana, sometimes it can be hard to sink in, absorb the beam for those landings. She did a good job of that on her series. You know, something that you're going to notice about this Kentucky beam team is just how poised they are from start to finish. If they have a little wobble or a little adjustment, then they don't react. And that's what I'm noticing across the board here. And that's the mark of a really amazing beam team. So little adjustment there. She continues to move through the rhythm, and it's not a big deal.
At the moment for Kentucky on beam, you'd be looking to drop the 9.850 score. We'll see where they give Ariana Patterson. Here's the replay.
Switch side, and really that should have been a bigger wobble, but she minimized that wobble, squeezed her core, continued to move through the dance, and you can tell she's a veteran on this team.
And now Addie Wall on the floor. Again, has 80 to 100 family members, friends, former teammates in the stands watching her on the floor today.
Opens with a really difficult full in. She had an ankle roll in the fall, so wasn't quite as prepared for the beginning of the season. Got thrown in and been handling it beautifully. Good routine from Addie Wall. I saw some facial expressions there. That's one of the things that head coach Courtney Kupets-Carter was hoping they were focusing on, and they're actually taking the focus away from landings. And if I know Courtney as well as I do, I think it's going to help them in their landings. Sometimes putting too much of an emphasis causes more problems than it helps, and phenomenal job from Addie here.
So now here comes Raina Worley. At the moment in front in the all-arounds competition. Raina's mom is here today watching.
Yeah, it's interesting that I've followed her career and really been a fan of her gymnastics since she started. And she's even sharper this year. It's really incredible. You can tell she doesn't overthink things, and the joy that she talks about really illuminates, especially on events right here. You can see she's talking to herself. She's saying her cues. Every time you do this routine or your skills, you have mental cues, and that helps you stay consistent on the beam. on all the events, but really on beam it helps.
And they say she's always been in phenomenal shape. Now she's in even better shape this year.
She is, and I'm shaking my head because it was a really good routine, and I think she wants the 10 so bad. She's going too hard for those sticks.
There's Dad Robert, Mom Catherine watching.
Front aerial straight into that back handspring layout.
Now here's Lily Smith on the floor. Been given a lot of responsibility as just a freshman, and here's her floor routine.
Opens front double full. That's a difficult E pass, which gives her extra bonus. She is just so stunning to watch on this event. Every detail, her toe point, the extension in her arms. Solid routine from Lily. She has been so productive from a scoring perspective. They want her to also step up in the leadership aspect as well because she has so much to give this team. Her future is so bright at Georgia. They're lucky to have an athlete like Lily.
Sam, there was an intensity about the music and energy of that floor routine that I just loved watching. Now coming up, Isabella Magnelli.
Definitely attention to details.
Magnelli anchoring this beam lineup here for Kentucky.
She's really aggressive on this event. She had to go after that major mistake last week and really just rocked her routine. Sometimes that's tough to do. We talk about sticks being contagious, but mistakes can also be contagious.
Her positive energy has been contagious for this team. Just lights up the room when she walks in.
What a solid anchor routine for Kentucky. Here's that triple series. Back handspring, layout, layout. I love the rhythm. Her back knee is a little soft there. I'd like to see her push all the way through her toes to get that straight, but everything else was rock solid. Way to finish for Kentucky on beam.
For Kentucky on being the low score will likely be a 9.825, so maybe they'll drop that. Jada Battle coming up here on the floor for Georgia, anchoring this lineup.
Oh, I saw her unfortunately fall on that in touch as well. Two athletes that were sick and were supposed to be in this floor lineup. They have been out on floor, so she's in right now, went from doing 2 events to 4 events. They're wanting wanting her to gain a lot of confidence and comfortability on this floor routine. So sometimes it's good to get thrown in. A lot of potential for Jada in this Georgia floor roster. Just needs probably some more numbers for this pass right here. Front handspring double full. You can see she twists early and opens up a little too soon on the landing.
That followed up Lily Smith's 9-9, which will likely be the highest score on the floor for Georgia in that third rotation. Kentucky on the beam rounded out with a 9.925 from Isabella Magnelli. One of 3 different scores of 9.9 or higher in that beam rotation for Kentucky. Delaney Rodriguez led it off with a 9.9. Speaking of Kentucky, their head coach Tim Garrison joined us here. Coach, we talked to you earlier this week about the fact that you talk about your goals in August, don't really bring them up after that, week to week. Right. Why is that?
Well, it's really not relevant to us. You know, what's relevant to us right now is being able to get to a Friday and be able to perform at a high level. You know, so we'll talk about things during the week that we would really like to achieve at that meet on Friday. But really thinking about the end of the year is not relevant if we can't focus on what we're doing on Friday.
Tim, you wanted to see the beginning of your lineups really produce, stick landings, hit those handstands, look confident. What are you seeing from particularly the beginning half of your lineup so far?
Yeah, that was one of our goals this week, actually, was to get the first half of our lineups really executing at a high level. And I think for the most part, we've been doing it. I mean, you saw 2 out of 3 9.9s in that first half on beam over there. So I'll take it. If we can do that on beam, I'll be pretty happy.
Thank you, Tim. Really appreciate your time.
You bet.
Well, after 3 rotations, Tim Garrison's team up in this meet by 1,175 total on that scoreboard, led to rotation 4. Welcome back to Friday Night Heights. It's Excite Night here at Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, and Kentucky up in this meet heading into the 4th rotation, honoring the 50th team in program history tonight as well. It's been a packed, fun start to this night. Nearing the conclusion of it, Kentucky trying to get their 2nd SEC win of the season so far. Lost to LSU a week ago, won at Auburn the prior week, but this is the first home meet of the season where they went unbeaten last year, and unbeaten at home for the first time since 1984. And don't forget, coming up next, we got LSU and Missouri as Friday Night Heights rolls on. That is tonight at 8:30 Eastern Time. Got a great crew on that one for you. So, speaking of this matchup and our matchup, Gymnast of the Week, Haley Bryant, trying to cap off her LSU career on a high note. She's doing that so far. And then Maro Titarsole, the Specialist of the Week for Mizzou, native of the Netherlands. Going to be another fun one to watch in that next meet. And Lily Smith in our meet, the reigning Freshman of the Week, had a 10 on bars a week ago. And now, Sam, we take a look at the Friday Night Heights SEC headlines here today.
Yeah, LSU records 2 10s in a win. Haley Bryant, Kaya Johnson, we can expect to see a lot more 10s. I'm betting from them. Arkansas sets a program record. That's the meet that I covered. It was a tie against Alabama. Incredible electric meet. Big things for that program. And Leanne Wong leads the Gators by 3 event wins by a junior.
4th rotation on the horizon here at Rupp. It'll be the beam for Georgia, and Addie Wall will lead us off. And then on the floor for Kentucky, Delaney Rodriguez, the talented freshman, coming up on Friday Night Heights. One of the staples of Rupp Arena, you got to try the ice cream here whenever you're in Lexington, Kentucky. No matter the sporting event, that is a go-to. No matter the weather outside, it's a go-to. Kentucky fans watching their team up, heading into the fourth rotation and enjoying their ice cream. Here's a look at our confident move brought to you by Regions. It's the 10 from earlier today. This is Mackenzie Wilson early on in our meet on vault.
Well deserved, finishing that lineup huge. Front by Cass and drills the landing. It's the only event, and she's perfect.
We talked about T-Tar Soleil, Ernie Specialist of the Week. Mackenzie Wilson maybe making a bid for that.
It's so impressive. First UK 10 since Jenny Hansen.
So now here on the beam, Addie Wall for Georgia.
Starting back handspring layout, triple series. Nice save there at the end. Assistant coach Molly Korth told me that before she gets on the beam, she looks at Molly and says, "I got this, right?" And Molly said it's almost like she's tricking her mind and needs a little extra boost of confidence. So every time Molly looks at her and says, "Of course, you got this."
A little extra reassurance, never hurts.
Yeah, but for an athlete that is such a gamer, she doesn't really need it. Sometimes you get in superstitions and it just is a creature of habit.
Like reverse psychology almost there?
Almost, yeah. Good routine for Georgia to start things off. And again, I just have to point out, she's a freshman. It's really impressive for both of these teams to have freshmen leading off their beam lineups.
Now here's Delaney Rodriguez on the floor for Kentucky, leading off this lineup.
See that sting mat right there? There's no deduction to have that. Sometimes early in their season, coaches and athletes want to put that just for extra padding on their body. The goal for Kentucky is to perform. Tim Garrison, head coach, said the first three have been doing their job, but he just wants to see a little bit more on the performance side of things. Here's that opening pass, front double full. No problems there.
Kentucky was ahead by 1.175 entering this fourth rotation. Again, you got 6 gymnasts on each event, drop the lowest score. The cumulative scores after 4 rotation will be the winner. And Sam, I just want to point out on the beam for Georgia, you have 5 freshmen and a sophomore here on the beam. That is not normal.
That is wild. Usually of all the events that you want to throw your underclassmen in, it's usually not beam. So looks like they have a team full of beamers. This is
Sam, you said like, hey, if you normalize it, then who cares?
Yeah, and it's not like they've never competed on beam in their life. So, you know, we always point out it is different. Look at the arena. The scale is so much bigger than in club gymnastics. But for Zora, she was the national beam champion last year in level 10. So she's used to pressure.
This is Zora's first time competing in the second spot.
That dismount was too easy for her to stick. She just floated down to the ground. great routine for her to start gaining confidence here. Just one wobble in that routine and finds the landing very easily.
So now Isabella Magnelli coming up here on the floor for Kentucky.
Huge extension on her leaps. That's not new to Rupp Arena. Finishes so strong. Coaches wanted to see them perform, and Isabella delivers. What a good, comprehensive routine. Tumbling was solid, and her leaps were a highlight for me. Check that out, her straddle position. Definitely over 180. And finishes so strong with that double pike.
A great start on the floor for Kentucky. Now Jada Battle on the beam for Georgia. Jada Battle's had to go after 2 falls this season as a freshman from Hampton, Virginia. She just handles herself so well. Tends to set the tone for everyone after her.
Yeah, coaches are really wanting them to continue to keep building. Last week, 5 of the 6 routines were career best. So we talk about this being a young beam team for Georgia, and they're wanting them to just keep growing and gain confidence in their roles. Lifted her leg there, that's gonna be a deduction. But again, I wanna point out that that could have been turned into a very big wobble or even a fall, and she just stayed calm, put her foot down. Isn't gonna get that connection, but saved herself a bigger deduction. And a good finish. The word that head coach Courtney Kupets-Carter keeps using with this team, especially on beam, is tenacity. Check this out. That's the definition right here. She was so crooked, picks her leg up and just squeezes, puts it back down to minimize all those deductions.
That followed a 9.850 from Zora Morgan. Addie Walde gave her a 9.775 on the beams. Right now, the 9.775, the low score for Georgia. Then flip it back over to the floor. Ariana Patterson coming up here for Kentucky, following Magnelli's 9.850.
What's impressed me a lot with this Kentucky team is just the amount of depth and readiness they're showing in competition. But coaches say that it's really tough for them to choose lineups because there's so many athletes that can score 9.9 plus or better. They have to do evaluated routines 2 to 3 times a week to earn these spots. So really the competitions are a celebration of them earning their place in the lineups. Solid routine from Ariana. She's capable of a big score. I think she's gonna get one here tonight. Solid finish with that double back.
Tim Garrison said, we want to perform in front of this home crowd, especially on the floor. First time in front of the home crowd this year for Kentucky. Now Anya Turner for Georgia. Courtney Kupets-Carter is so proud of her. You can hear the smile light up in her voice when she talks about Anya.
Yeah, they offered her a walk-on spot last fall, and she was pretty hesitant. She didn't know if she wanted to continue to do gymnastics in college at all. Her and her dad are really close, and he said, why don't you just try it? And if you don't like it, you can stop. Oh, no. And they said that she actually did that skill right there so easily. They were so impressed with the way that she works lean, which is why I think coaches talk about her with such joy. She scored a 9.875 the last 3 weekends, so this is really uncharacteristic so far for her. You can see it in her face, really disappointed. It's so frustrating when you're an athlete and you know that you could do it perfectly, and then a mistake like this happens. To me, that looked a little bit like a nervous mistake, meaning she wasn't that crooked, but reacted to the little adjustment that I think she needed at the end. And of course, we gotta remember that she's a freshman, so I'll call that a freshman mistake.
So now Haley Davis on the floor for Kentucky. Tim Garrison really likes the back half of this rotation on the floor.
Nice save, holding that front foot down. Noticing the montage of rock music, great, because she's honoring her late dad who passed away January of last year, and these are all a compilation of his favorite songs. So this is a really special routine for her. This must be a dad song, because I listened to this with my dad before every competition when I was a young gymnast. I love it.
Yeah, she really performs this routine with something special in her heart.
Here's that double back that she finished with. Just need to get her chest up a little bit more on that landing.
Now Lily Smith on the beam for Georgia.
Yeah, really good test for her to have to go after a fall. Sometimes it's good to have mistakes and falls early in the season, so you're pressure tested for postseason. Lily making little adjustments on her series. She's obviously a perfectionist. Coaches say if she messes up one thing, she has to redo it at least 5 times before she even gets off the beam. Front toss, tight position, difficult element right there. But I mean, the posture the high toe, the releve. She is just so beautiful to watch on this event as well. I love the artistry that she brings to all of her events.
She's following a 9.025 from Anya Turner. That'll be the score that Georgia wants to drop. So we'll see what they give Lily. Jeffrey Scott will follow her up. But right now, Kreslin Brose, who has a musical flair about her. She is a music major. And Sam, she's kind of the singer in the back of the team bus. You'll see that flair here.
Opens double pike. Again, sometimes that mat can cause a little bit more problems than it helps, but she's in the clear there. What a fun floor routine. 10 out of 10 for performance. I mean, that's how it's done. She's engaging the crowd. She looks excited. I was smiling the whole time. I don't know about you, Jason.
I was too. Tim Garrison told us we'd be smiling the whole time during during her routine. He wasn't wrong.
And it's athletes like that raise the bar for Kentucky gymnastics.
Can't agree more. Here's Jeffrey Scott for Georgia coming up on beam. She's going to round out this beam and fourth rotation for Georgia. The score that they want to drop is that 9.025.
Yeah, and this is a really crucial routine for them, to put it plainly. They're already having to count a 9.425, so we really want to see a big number from Jeffrey.
To put into context, the lowest score right now for Kentucky on the floor is a 9.850.
Love the difficult combination. That is a hard series. She does it no problem. They're wanting to push the boundary with her in terms of difficulty. She's so capable. She has the highest scoring potential for them on this event. And sometimes athletes actually do better with more pressure. I know I was an athlete like that. And this routine is looking pretty good.
Like you said, they need it. They need a big score here.
She's the oldest athlete in their lineup as a sophomore. Front handspring crumple. Wow. She delivers. They needed a really big score. She's going to get that.
You said it, Sam. 5 freshmen. That was the only sophomore in the beam lineup to anchor it for Georgia. And now here is Raina Worley, a crowd favorite here in Lexington, coming up on the floor.
Yeah, looking at those scores, her teammates have set her up perfectly for a 10. Could this be the night that she gets her first perfect 10? coaches say she's in even better shape. They don't even know how that's possible. She is just so elevated this year. You're going to be able to tell by this last pass. It's just so easy for her. She's so well conditioned. She's been so deserving of a 10, in my opinion, so many times. I think this is going to be the year, whether it's tonight or in the coming meets. She's bound for that 10. The crowd's calling for it.
Yeah, and Sam, it appears as though she has locked up the all-around, depending on what they give her here.
Opens double tuck, almost to a stuck position. Of course, it's no deductions to take a step back to the lunge.
This is following up a 9.975, by the way, from Breslin Rose. So what a finish to the floor for Kentucky.
Yeah, this is going to be a really big team score, a really big floor score.
Sam, you said that a 10 could be in the air for Raina Worley. It is indeed. They give her a 10 on the floor.
Talk about an athlete that has put her head down, worked so hard in the gym time and time again. So deserving. I think that's why you're seeing everyone so emotional. The crowd, the team, the coaches. What a moment for Raina Worley.
With her mom and dad watching on, Raina Worley gets the 10 that we thought might happen today and caps off a win in this meet for Kentucky over Georgia. Wow,
I
what a
woke up
finish.
with a good feeling, Jason.
Her parents and Raina will celebrate, and we'll toss to more gymnastics coming up as Friday Night Heights continues. LSU and Missouri on the other side of the break.